This one's for the culture. Me and wifey in the room thinking of a master plan, thinking how we can influence the culture from where we stand. Knowing that our steps are ordered by the master's hand, still 10 toes down, we ain't switching up the stance. The mission of this music ain't just to make them dance, trying to tell them about the rock.
And welcome to the latest edition of the Bond Chronicles. I am your wonderful host, Mr. Bond Chronicles on Instagram, Mr. Ray Bond on Twitter, and I have my host here with me,
Mrs. Bond Chronicles on Instagram, Robin Bond on Facebook. I ain't messed with Twitter yet.
Great. And we are the Bond Chronicles, and we are also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. So like, share, and subscribe. Continue to keep those numbers going up. We're reaching into the year. We're 2 weeks out from, a little less than 2 weeks out from Christmas. It is the season of giving. And
Baby should be here pretty much any day now. Like literally, I think at this point.
Any day now?
I mean, considering where I'm at, I could go into labor tomorrow.
No. Exciting times. So we have some things planned in the event that happens, so that we can make sure that we do have some content coming. Just giving you guys a bit of an advance notice. There may be a break probably in January as we try and settle into a house with 4 children, and just making sure that, we have everything in order. So I may be doing some other things. We probably may still put some stuff out, but it probably won't be the regular schedule. We will keep you guys abreast of that as that continues to move along. Because at any day now, we could be in the hospital giving birth to our 4th child.
Fourth and final
child. That is a very good distinction there. So in the same way that we will be finishing up our child rearing years, we have some people that have finished up their situations. So we finished the year, we're finishing up the child rearing, and then we've had a number of court cases that have come and gone, and we haven't got a chance to talk to you about it because there's been a ton of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. But we've been very diligent, I believe, in touching on some of the bigger cases, especially those that deal with public eye, racism, anti-Black stuff. And so we got some good news, maybe some bad news, and then some comical news. So we can start light. Unless you had something you wanted to say.
No, yeah, you just jump right into it, babe.
All right. So we have talked about Dave Chappelle on this episode, on this podcast, a couple different times. Mm-hmm. May have lost some followers from it, may have gained some. We don't really know, but we talked about it. And so we want to take Dave a couple years back, where he had a part of his stand-up, and I think this is when Dave finally got back to being funny for me, because when he first came back from hiatus, I didn't love his specials as much. I didn't really laugh. Wasn't my thing. But this one, I forget. I don't know if this was Sticks and Stones. I don't remember which one this was.
I think it was Sticks and Stones.
He talked about a French actor. And the French actor played a prominent role on a show called Empire, which is no longer running. Shout out to Terrence Howard, who showed up at Versus, and shout out to Taraji Henson, who did a great role there. I was not an Empire fan, but
me either. I never could get into it.
I can speak to the numbers it did. It was a successful show on Fox for some time. Mm-hmm. One of the characters was Jussie Smollett, and I will give you what I've heard. I'm not an industry insider. I just go off what I hear. And so at the time, there was some contract controversy. There was some possibility that he wouldn't be on the show. There was a lot of turmoil surrounding him and his time on the show. And so at the same time, he was violently attacked. Viciously. Is homophobically a word?
No.
No?
It's not.
Well, he was targeted because
slander.
Of his...
No, I guess that wouldn't fit either.
No.
Well, you know where you're going with it.
Right. He was targeted because of his color of his skin and his sexual orientation. or so he said. And Dave jokes that, and I believe I actually fell into this category. I don't think I said anything one way or the other. But at the time, it just seemed a little different.
There were a lot of holes.
A lot
in the story. There was just a lot of stuff that just didn't sound quite right. And to Dave's point, most Black people were kind of like, yeah. So we're going to wait to comment on that.
So, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to incorrectly target someone. I feel Black conservatives were quiet. I feel Black liberals were not so quiet, which is why we get a lot of some people need an apology today.
I guess if you break it down that way, then yeah, that would be perceived correctly. But there was a mixture. There wasn't a whole lot of.
I don't know if I would even consider Dave conservative.
And then actually, that's not necessarily true. Because when everybody first heard about what happened, initially, everybody was upset. Like people said things. But then, as more details came out and his statement or whatever
once the report came out.
Right. And people were got to hear what his story was, folks were just like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to necessarily jump on this train. But it was a mixture originally when the story first broke.
Okay. So again, this is pre-COVID.
Yeah, this is 2019.
But just for perspective, it wasn't a long time ago, but it was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
So just if there are facts, y'all can fact check us or whatever, that's fine. But no, I agree. Once I heard the story, and I wouldn't consider myself a conspiracy theorist, but I tend to wait and see on some things. Even things that seemingly are anti-Black. Now, if you have George Floyd and I have a video, or Mike Brown and I have a video, and I have others, a video is pretty easy to make a determination.
Yeah.
But when all you have is a story.
And the story sounds suspect.
Well, not even, yes, it sounds. Because given the location, Chicago, and given the time of day or night.
It wasn't like he was in, South Side, scary Chicago area. He's downtown, prominent, nice, gentrified is what we'll go with.
But even to that, so my perception of Chicago, I haven't been there in a long time. You know Chicago better than me.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my perception of Chicago, call it what you want, is based on TV. So Shameless is in the South Side of Chicago.
Yeah.
I believe The Chi is in the South Side of Chicago. And I think that was out at the time. I think that's been out long enough. So the people that I see there don't seem to align with the people that would do to someone what happened to him.
Exactly.
Like MAGA hatting, bleach pouring, noose tying whites in a downtown area seemed unlikely.
And that's the thing. Initially when you heard what, I won't say you or speak for other people. You generally. When I heard about the attack initially, it was Jussie Smollett attacked, could possibly be, what is it? Sex, hate crime. It could be hate crime. As of right now, he's okay. I think the medical people had checked him out and he was good and he was at home resting surrounded by his family. And that was the initial blurb that came out to everybody. via the socials. And then by the next afternoon, when they started asking him more questions and more of the story began to come out, it's just like you're listing, you're like, who's going to Subway at 3:00 in the morning?
Yeah.
Is Subway even open at 3:00 in the morning?
Usually it's not.
Nah. And then me, like Chicago, like the only time you really want to be in Chicago is from between like May to July. Every other time of year, it's just cold. And I think this happened in like the middle of winter.
Yep.
So it's like negative 30 degrees outside. It's freezing. And you and your companion are just walking to Subway because...
And keep in mind, you're on a hit show.
Yeah, so you could have sent an assistant. You could have sent somebody. You could have got something delivered.
That's where I was about to go.
You were staying at a really, nice place. They just started to sound real crazy. But then when his full statement came out, like we said, you hear the description of the two gentlemen whose faces you didn't really see, but they had on MAGA hats, and just by coincidence at 3:00 in the morning, they had a noose, and it was like, so were they just wandering the streets waiting for the first Black person they saw? And then I even think originally, like, they tried to connect some letters that he'd received on set of Empire to the attack to make it sound more believable. But then even still, like, that didn't pan out. And it just all started to sound real suspect. But the people who were standing by him, they were super supportive. They're still super supportive now, even though at this point we know all these different details, too many details to be 100% honest. Like Jussie, Juicy, Mr. Smouye.
It's like, so my understanding, and I've seen this, we'll get to another trial here soon, but I was always under the impression when you're like on trial, you don't testify. No, because they can cross-examine you, and then you could derail your entire case.
You can. So it depends. Sometimes they put you on stand because like the jury and like people are more sympathetic towards you and whatever it is you're fighting for, or whatever, fighting against, fighting for. And sometimes hearing the story from the victim, from the accused, or
I just feel like that doesn't go over well.
Sometimes it does, and it's how they win. But majority of times, it goes awful, because especially if you've got a good prosecutor, like they're tearing holes through all of the story that you're spinning. And then if you're not the most even-tempered person, or if you're not someone who does well against not verbal attack, because the judge doesn't let that happen, but having to answer questions about
hardline, direct questions.
Exactly. Like they tear you apart, and it can make you look worse than you did before you got on stand.
Right. So that was the part to
like
me.
in Time to Kill. Yeah, they was guilty, and and I thought they should die and burn in hell. Like, that whole line that Samuel L. Jackson said, because the prosecutor was like testing him.
Yeah, it was just a strong stance you had there.
That's what he said. I didn't say it.
I thought you were saying you felt like he should burn.
No.
I was like, wow.
He said, yeah, they deserve to die. They deserve to burn in hell. But, I mean, anybody watching that movie completely agreed with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, back to Mr. Smouye. So, that's your point. The whole story he told, and I don't know how much you read about him and his
companion.
Thank you. Like, I don't know what that was about. Like,
yeah,
I don't know the relevance. I don't know the point I don't know where sympathy was supposed to come from that. But if I'm an old boy, I feel away. Like, you just lumped me and threw me into this when I didn't need to. Everybody's looking at him, I would imagine, especially that know him, away.
But he was the attacker.
Right, but what was the point of attacking? Like, you're in a relationship?
Oh, no, yeah, I don't understand.
He detailed their night
at the bathhouse.
Like,
which one? I didn't even know that was still a thing.
I didn't know it was a thing.
I mean, like,
so is it like
100-something years ago?
So no, I thought it was probably like a modern day brothel like thing. It was just called a bathhouse.
No, so, like even back in like European times, there was a bathhouse, and people would go and. I mean,
I've seen
like a sauna. It's really close to like a sauna.
Okay, I've seen that.
But a bathhouse, all sorts of things can happen in a bathhouse, and
apparently they did,
and lots of sexual things used to happen in bathhouses. But I didn't think that was still a thing.
Well, apparently it is, and so and for what it's worth, I don't know what to believe, and then I believe it was. After he was found, he started shooting at Don Lemon. Basically, when we just saw Cuomo get caught up for aiding or giving advice, you start snitching on Don.
But so I feel one way about the Cuomo thing. Like, I don't think personally he deserved to get fired.
Me either.
Most people in the same situation
should do that.
Would look out for their family member. Like, I don't care what you say, but you're going to look out for your family member. And from what I understand about Anthony Cuomo, like, he didn't even do anything to stop the prosecutors or people from,
Anthony got fired. Anthony was the governor, I thought. Chris is the one that got fired.
Yeah.
You said Anthony.
I didn't say either. I said the prosecutors.
You did, but it's not important.
Oh, my bad. No, I don't even feel like he did anything to specifically stop the investigation into his brother.
Correct.
Like,
he didn't.
If anything, he was just like, if y'all don't get it together and figure out how to clean this up, you're gonna go to jail at worst case scenario. He didn't comment a lot on the case. Like, it was just, I didn't think he deserved to lose his job. And so Don is kind of being pointed at in the same way, I guess, now. But from what I've read and from what I understand, what he was saying to Jussie is like, look, bro, I'm here with you, down for the cause, but there are some holes in your story. And you might want to change it or back up off of it or let it go before it gets to a point that you can't control what happens. Again, it wasn't something that he was actively inserting himself in the investigation or blocking people from. It's just stupid. It's so stupid.
One way or another, Don had to come out and say, Jussie, you're a liar.
Yeah.
And start to distance himself, rightfully so. But that to me is part and parcel of the whole problem with this situation is somewhere. I don't know. I'm not a liar. So let me start there. Like, I'm not. Have I lied? Yes, I've lied before. I don't engage in actively lying because it's too difficult and it's too much and it eats at me. I would rather give you a harsh truth and you not like me than me to lie to you to try and placate your feelings. So lying to me bothers me. But from what I understand, and I've been in cases where I've had to lie, the problem with a lie is you got to keep lying to cover up the lie. Mm-hmm. But at a certain point, and as a kid, and you've lied to your parents or whatever, at a certain point, you get to a place where it's like, all right, this is not working. You got me. Like, at some point, you got to put your hands and say, all right, my bad. Like, haha, laugh it off. Whatever you want to do, however you want to deal with it.
It's just a joke.
You have to eventually stand in front of the fact that I lied. So I started this conversation by saying this happened in 2019. This is just getting finished at the end of 2021. from what I understand, he was arguing with them about a raise. The show's off TV.
Mm-hmm.
You know you're lying. Why did you go to court to fight this? And I was watching someone else talk about this is why you take settlements, because you don't want to get to this point.
Oh, yeah.
Because now you got, if you know you, now for other people, if you genuinely believe you're innocent, fight. I'm not going to argue with you. But when you know you lied and it's obvious to a lot of people that you're lying,
your chances of
someone should have said
and winning are super slim. And like you were saying, I'm almost positive his attorneys, like the people around him, have probably tried to convince him that the route that he chose to take just was not good. And now here we are, I guess on Thursday or Friday, the jury wrote out their verdict, and he's guilty. He's been found guilty of all 4 counts of...
I think it was 4 out of the 5. One of them, I don't know why they didn't find him guilty, but I think he did beat one.
Right. But all of the things that he was found guilty of, they require jail time. So, like falsifying a police statement,
he's not going to jail though.
I mean,
I doubt it.
He probably won't go to jail, but it's just the example that has been set now. This precedence that has been set that is harmful to other people. And it's not, like, I don't know what his intent or his purpose was in this whole charade. Because even now, like, he hasn't really talked about it. He doesn't do
he's going to appeal. His lawyer came out and said he's going to appeal.
He is, but he's probably going to lose the appeal.
Well, apparently his lawyer, and I was just talking about, someone should have gotten to him and said, hey, shut up and just take it. His lawyer apparently feels very strongly, and he rightfully so, he's getting paid. I imagine a good amount of money. But there's just take the L and try to move on with that. The longer you drag this, the worse it gets.
The more it's going to piss people off at this point, because you have wasted resources, you've wasted people's time. And again, like, technically this is a victimless crime, but in reality, what it looks like, it makes people who do actually get attacked for hate crimes, be it because of their sex, be it because of their race, it makes it that much harder for the next person to be taken seriously. It makes it that much harder for someone to come forward and say, hey, this is what happened to me. I need assistance in getting this dealt with. Like, it's just stupid on so many levels. And the fact that he's just walking around like, I don't have a comparison. Like, just the air of arrogance in him over what he's done and what this has culminated to. It's stupid. So stupid. But you know who I haven't heard talking about it? Anybody in the LGBTQ plus community. Nobody has said anything about how damaging something like this is to all the causes and all the things that y'all fight for. I haven't heard a word.
So I'll start there. And this is me, a heterosexual guy. I wouldn't call me an LGBT advocate by any stretch, but I try to allow them to do their thing, and I do my thing. And tying back into Dave Chappelle's most recent stand-up, that is the problem that I have with the community, is when they're wrong. And to me, especially when they're obviously wrong, you don't hear nothing. But when they feel like they've been wronged, you don't stop hearing about it. The same energy they had for their baby when he was wrong, I would expect that same kind of energy now when y'all wrong. But we ain't gonna get that. We had presidents and vice presidents speaking on the issue. Where you at now? You're real quiet now. And I'm not necessarily a MAGA supporter, but I've told y'all who I voted for. And right now, I think y'all got to eat the label that y'all put on them. And that's the part I saw Donald Trump Jr. tweeting and talking. And right now, they can puff their chests out. And they can talk crazy right now because of what Jussie did.
Lied.
Your lie, and not just that you lied. You targeted them. You brought it to their door. You brought the vile and the vilification of the highest offices in the land to the social media world to just target MAGA and kill MAGA. And MAGA is an easy target. Don't get me wrong. They definitely make it very easy to target them with a lot of their idiocy. I'm not going to group all of them, call them idiots, but there's some dumb stuff that go on in that group. But when you target them, now you got to stand on their rebuttal. And boy, I tell you right now, they are feeling great. Mm. And Twitter and a bunch of other places have gone overboard, rightfully so. That's what the internet does. But when you say there's no victims here, I completely disagree. And I think I've said it on here, I feel about Amanda Seales. I wish they would have killed her off of Insecure a long time ago, or just never wrote her on there because I can't stand her as a person. But people like that, get on your live and own it. Don't double down and start comparing this situation to other situations that was really traumatic. Don't try and back your behind and say, well, this was fake, but I'm not going to be upset because we have all this other stuff going on and wrong in the world. No, this is wrong.
Yeah.
And you need to call this wrong so that the next person doesn't think, oh, all I'll get is community service, but we can waste people's time, effort, and energy. People that are spending hours and hours of their time advocating and fighting and protesting for a cause that don't exist. So this idea that there's no victims, I think that's BS. Like, lives were changed by people in this situation. And those people will have to live with this for the rest of their life. I remember the prosecutor. People are starting to look at her because I believe she dropped the case initially or something. I forget the specifics of it. But they had ended it. She
wasn't going to prosecute originally.
Right. Okay, so that's it.
People felt there, and people did. They felt a way about, because one, it is illegal to file a false police report. And then there was something else that went along with that people were just like, no, he needs to be prosecuted like any other person who was trying to use the office of law or whatever to their own benefit to make a point or something of that nature. He needs to be prosecuted.
And so and I've been consistent on this, and I try to be consistent. And I'll bring it up briefly. We're not going to get into great detail unless you have more you want to share. But the Emmett Till situation, which just recently, somehow, some way, where there's a woman on record saying I lied. How you can now say there's no evidence to retry the case or whatever BS justification they just came up with. I didn't even give it enough energy once I realized they weren't going to move forward, because that's just the main person is saying I lied. And y'all just have nothing to go on. There's not going to be any more police work. I'm not with it. The Malcolm X case is another one that I think I'm not hearing a lot about since the two people got off and then his daughter died, and it's a whole lot of silence. I think those are
there's going to be a lot of silence,
but there shouldn't be.
And I agree.
But that's my point. Y'all are police. Where's the energy and effort? Where's the rah-rah? His daughter died. I've heard nothing. 2 men got off, which means someone killed Malcolm X. So who's handling that case? Emmett Till's the girl, and I don't even know her name, and I probably wouldn't say it anyway to give her the time and space. But she's saying, I lied. Someone needs to be held responsible for what they did to Emmett Till.
That's like the same as the woman who wrote The Lovely Bones. I can't think of her name.
Why are you looking that up? But my point in that is, I stand on, this is me, if you lie about a crime, and we see it too often with rape cases, and I'm not trying to take away from victims that have been involved in sexual assault. Please hear me. But in cases where they are lying, I've always said the liar should get the sentence of the person that would have been convicted what they got. Mm-hmm. So if the rapist would have got 20 years, you should own that sentence on average. And you can't really, like, what the average sentence is for someone in those situations. I bring that full circle to say, I feel like Jussie, had the MAGA people existed, whatever the average is for a hate crime, I feel, one, he should have to pay back for all the police work and time that the county or city wasted. And two, you got to do that time for that. Because thank God, and I can't believe I'm saying this, some random dad or brother or somebody didn't go to jail for this. Because if his lie was good enough.
It was his friend, the guy.
But I'm saying, had they thought it well enough out so that someone actually did go to jail for this.
They'd be going to jail for something they didn't do.
For nothing. But the lie was so awful that, and so easily picked apart. I think it was like a week. We had video, everything. It was just a mess. But I think that's how these things should be handled. Go ahead.
Anthony Broadwater. His conviction was recently overturned because
he did 20 something,
25, I believe.
Also, yeah.
25 years. And this all came about because they were trying, Netflix of all people wanted to make a movie based on Alice Sebold, the author of The Lovely Bones, her rape, the things surrounding her rape, the rape case, all of that. And the producer is reading through the court documents and like all the information he can find. It's just like, nothing about this sounds right. And just because of his due diligence, basically he was able to get this man out of jail who had been in jail for the majority of his life. And
is this the case where they said they're not giving him any money?
I don't know.
Because I know, I think it was in Missouri, where somebody went to jail for a long time, and they said they're not cutting him a check. Even
I
though
do remember what you're talking about, but I don't know if that's him.
Okay.
But even still,
yeah.
This happens all the time. People go to jail for crimes that they didn't actually commit for a long time. And she didn't say anything for the longest time, but eventually she did come out and apologize for taking this man's life away. She misidentified him in the lineup, but in court, she told she identified him as the man that raped her. From what I've read about it, the people.
Defense?
Oh, no. Yeah, the prosecutors, they basically guided her testimony so that it fit with Anthony Broadwater at this time, this place, and all of that, even though the evidence that they used at the time, even at the time, it was shaky. And now, like, they don't use it at all because it's not right. And this man is still, like, he accepted her apology. Like, he's been super gracious towards her and towards all the people who helped him get out of jail. But his life is gone. I think he went away when he was, like, 18. So he didn't get a chance to have kids. He did all these different things that he's missed out on in life that he can never get back now. And all he's going to get, well, I don't think that's all he's going to get, because I definitely believe he should sue this woman and the state of wherever this happened, and he should get paid. But even still, that money is not going to make up for his life.
Not at all.
And the fact that Jussie has lied, I mean, fine, he took advantage of the system. He thought he was doing something. He thought it was going to work. But at the end of the day, it didn't. And the ramifications, like you said, had they caught someone, white, black, whoever, and said, you committed this crime and here's the evidence we have against you, like, he would have had to testify that, oh, yeah, these are the two people. So he would have had to lie for that. There's so many things that were wrong about this. And somebody needs to be punished. I mean, not somebody. Jussie. Jussie should be punished.
I don't know why or what came of this. I really hope that was just boisterous blustering by the lawyers saying they're going to appeal. Bruh, just take it. You'll take your little light sentence because I'm sure it'll be light.
Oh, it's going to be super light.
And move on with your life, pay your little fines. And maybe in 5 to 10 years, you can start acting again or whatever it is you do. But just shut up and move on. Speaking of someone else, I would love to shut up. Kyle Rittenhouse. He was found not guilty. And I think we talked about it on here, or maybe it was off mic. I don't remember. But the momentum of social media, and judge me how you want, social media dictates a lot of my views to a certain extent based on just how I believe people feel. This happens with elections. It happens with sports. It happens with crime. The internets. And leading up to this, a lot of people, based on the video, based on things, based on just the way the judge was conducting himself.
Oh, no, you knew he was getting off.
This wasn't surprising.
When they threw out the
gun
charge, like that one was the most blatant and obvious charge that they could have convicted him with.
Right.
And when they threw that out, I was like, oh no, I already know how this is going to end.
So for me, it started before that when they said you can't call the people victims.
Yeah.
I was like, huh? Like, we're jumping to that already?
Yeah.
Then that was the Ahmaud case where he was talking about Jesse Jackson.
With the people being in the...
But what was the other thing that he did? Oh, like he got to pick his jury, like by hand, but it was like he got to pick the names out. Like just what's the word I want to use? I don't want to use favoritism.
No, favoritism is definitely a good word to use.
According to the judge, she says he had an incident a long time ago, so he lets everyone do this. That's what he said. So that's why I don't want to
bias. No, it's not a good.
I don't even know if it's bias. I would just say the leniency that he was given throughout this case. I wish it was consistent for everyone, but it's not.
When I saw that picture of him crying, I wanted to punch him in the face. Like legit, I wanted to punch him in the face. Just because they were crocodile tears. Like he didn't even look remorseful. He didn't sound remorseful. There's been nothing about him prior to the trial starting, during the trial, and definitely not after the trial that says to me that this kid is remorseful for killing 2 people.
No,
and the law just showed him, the court system just showed him that you can do it. You're good.
But to me, the bigger takeaway, in the same way we had a takeaway with Jussie and the impact that can have on a variety of people, especially when it comes to hate crimes. For me, where I got lost with social media, and there's some people that I rock with on social media, but their takes on this was confusing. And that if you strip away all the other semantics, an American who felt a way about something that happened in America, underage, illegally took a gun across state lines.
His mama drove him.
Took him across state lines to defend businesses that are not his community, businesses he's probably never been to, businesses he has no invested interest in. And then when the people who you are coming to protest or rebuke come after you, you're now given a license to kill them. So for me, given all of the issues we have in this country, at this point, anybody should be able to pick up a gun, go to said city, and if they find themselves in danger, kill the people trying to hurt them. Mm-hmm. And that to me is just fundamentally wrong. If you stay your hot butt at home,
None of this happens.
There's no problem.
None of this happens. And that's the same thing with the Ahmaud Arbery killers.
How so?
Because they thought that they had the authority and the right to make a citizen's arrest on someone who they felt had less authority and less than privileges, rights, whatever, to be in their neighborhood doing what he was doing.
I see the correlation, but I don't believe that was premeditated. I think that was an opportunity, and they took advantage of it. Kyle was driven hours to a place where he prepared.
I get what you're saying, premeditated
for this situation. And it's kind of one of those situations, for those of y'all who've been in clubs or been in parties or whatever, it's kind of like, I'm just waiting. Somebody, please try me.
Mm-hmm.
I got this rifle. They can't mess with me. And then things got real. And fortunately enough for him, he did have a bigger gun. Nobody else had an assault rifle. One guy believed they said it had a handgun maybe, or was a gun on, I don't remember the specifics. But generally speaking, he had the biggest gun. So he instigated, as far as I'm concerned, a situation. He agitated a situation that was already really high.
Mm-hmm.
And given the reason for the protesting and the rioting, I would feel away. So you capitalized on people's high emotion for a real incident in which the party was found guilty of murder. Like, that's what started this. A cop murdered a man and has been found guilty of said murder. And so you went to interject yourself into people being upset about what they saw. And because you, in my opinion, and from the video I've seen, antagonized the situation, people came after you. I believe rightfully so.
If for anything, then just defend themselves. Because what you're not going to do is going to walk up on me with this huge rifle. The police are right there. I see you clearly walk past the police, so they let you come.
And there was supposed to be a curfew in place.
Right. They let you come into this area with a fully loaded rifle. Clearly, there was nothing about you that said you were here to keep the peace.
At all.
And we have this conversation, I feel like, every day now. I just don't understand what's happening in the world. Like, the things that I see, and this is why I try not to watch the news. I try to read NPR and different individual broadcasting networks, information to stay current on what's actually important. But watching the news and watching the news cycle on a daily basis, it has you ready to slit your wrists. There's so much craziness going on. And so I think I got a text notification on my phone that he had been found not guilty. I wasn't shocked. I don't even think I was upset. I was just like, well, that's our justice system for you. I didn't start to get upset until he went on the media tour after he got found innocent. He's been on Sean Hannity's show. Mm-hmm. He's been on pretty much every show on Fox News.
For what it's worth, he's been on most of the MAGA channels.
Yeah, he has. He's been on a couple podcasts, and they all are asking him the same questions. And again, the lack of remorse, because at the end of the day, regardless of what you feel you did or what the court said you didn't do, you killed people. You killed 2 people and injured another person. And the fact that just is okay in your spirit, he's 18 now, right?
Yes.
It's just cool.
But that's the thing. He and people like him believe they did the right thing. And we've seen that in history, where the Pilgrims genuinely believed what they were doing was right.
Not the Pilgrims.
The stuff that historically white people have done across all societies, they felt justified.
Oh, they felt 100% justified.
This is just
whatever reason.
This is that. When Joe Biden passed that crime bill and took the savages off the streets, he was doing the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
the laws and the way they're written in slavery and segregation, the people that put those laws and applied those laws and executed those laws thought they were doing the right thing. So of course they had no remorse.
But what I'm saying is I just don't understand it anymore.
That's because we're black.
This is true. This is also true. Just like again, looking at the way that the case played out, the trial played out, and now the aftermath of said trial. In Kenosha, dang, and I can't think of the girl's name. There's a young lady who has also been awaiting trial. I think
is also, that the girl who was sex trafficked?
Mm-hmm, she was sex trafficked.
Let's try and get her name.
And she killed the man who basically was selling her body. But she is on victim. Is probably the better word. Kenosha. Because you're going to get a lot of results for this. She's getting ready to go on trial. Crystal Kaiser. Crystal Kaiser. She's getting ready to go on trial for killing the man who was sex trafficking her. And her case is based around self-defense. And basically, if I understand the way that the Kyle Rittenhouse trial played out, this young lady should be able to walk free. She should be able to tell her story, present her defense, present the evidence, and the prosecutors, what are they trying? Because she defended herself against someone who was performing an illegal act against her. Open, it's to me, that sounds super open and shut compared to the Kyle Rittenhouse case.
And so I had just read there, but one of the issues that they were arguing was that the murder she committed was premeditated. But the way I look at it, in a lot of ways, so was Kyle Rittenhouse's.
Mm-hmm.
When you go, and me and you had a conversation off mic, I said, if you go anywhere and pull a gun, the goal is to use it. So if you are carrying a gun, your thought process is, in the event of a dangerous situation, I am going to use said weapon. And my guidance to you and my guidance to anybody, and y'all can kill me for the if not, or whatever. If I use my gun, I'm not using it to hurt you. I'm using it to kill you because I don't want you coming back to kill me. Like, that's just how the world works. So if I'm going to a war zone, quote unquote, or a high volatile place where they're burning police stations and terrorizing businesses and looting and all this other stuff with a gun, the heck you thought was going to happen? Like,
you should have been fully prepared for what you were watching.
And he was, which is why he took the gun.
Exactly. Because he could, and that's the thing, like, he could have showed up to the to be an
There was a bunch of people out there without guns.
Without a gun. He 100% could have showed up without a gun.
That's what the police are there for.
Yes.
And we're not going to get into the police commissioning people and all that other stuff that we heard about. But in her case, like, this is the frustration.
By comparison, it should be open and shut. She was defending herself. She was, being abused.
She should be applauded. Like, the fact she's even on trial, like, what is wrong with people?
Mm-hmm.
And I get the money, and I didn't joke, but I was talking about Jussie's lawyer and him taking the money, so he's going to fight the appeal, which I think is dumb. But at a certain level, why in the world would you prosecute this young girl, a kid?
Mm-hmm.
She was underage.
I think she still is, isn't she?
I know she was 17. I don't know if she still is. I forget exactly.
I'm pretty sure she was 17 when
she
killed them. What?
It was at the top.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the time she was 17. But she had been being molested.
Right.
For a couple of years, I believe, by the time she did kill him. So again, to me, this sounds pretty open and shut. I don't see.
So, like, here's the thing. Say she got out and told the story and the guy went to jail. What do we think happens to him in jail?
A lot of stuff.
My point is, it would be okay.
Yeah.
If they tore him up in jail, and that's the part of the issue with the Kyle Rittenhouse thing is, well, I don't have sympathy for one of the victims because he was a child molester, which is not true. First off, that's not true. But in the event that child molesters go to jail, they separate them for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that this girl had the opportunity to get her freedom and killed the person that traumatized her for years, and now she has to get on the stand and relive this and explain to you why she did what she did is just disgusting on way too many levels. No one should have to go through that. Like, it's obvious what happened here, and there should be a common sense law that says, we're good here. But we're not.
But and then that's a problem because we saw the same thing with George Zimmerman when he killed Trayvon. You came up to me and started the confrontation. I didn't have to answer you. I didn't have to say anything to you. I didn't have to acknowledge you. You got out of your car with the gun like you were the attacker. As far as I'm concerned, I am a young person. It's late. It's dark. I don't know you. And you're walking up on me. I'm going to defend myself. And if I'm winning the fight, so be it. I'm winning the fight. But for you to be able to kill me and then turn me into the criminal and then you get off? There's so many other cases that are similar to, that have happened since George Zimmerman, before George Zimmerman. And to see Kyle Rittenhouse get off and basically the same concept play over again, it tells you nothing has really changed. Besides the fact that we have more access to information and we see it played out more on TV.
Yeah. So really, I'm disappointed in the outcome. However, we did get a win.
We did.
And I'm still waiting on sentencing. At the time of this recording, I don't even know if it's been set yet. Ahmaud Arbery's killers all were found guilty of almost all of the crimes. A couple of the two gentlemen had one or two cases or one of the two charges. They were found not guilty, but generally speaking, they were all found guilty for the murder of Ahmaud. Thank you to people like Sean King and others that brought awareness to the situation. Thank you to all the people that contributed money, time, and effort to fight this case.
Because the big part about this case, I think, was that originally those men weren't going to be tried. They
because
were not
they
going
knew
to be prosecuted.
I think it was the DA.
They knew the
she
DA.
Was trashed.
She was
and
cool.
I believe she's now under investigation.
I hope so. I really, truly hope so.
Because I think the other part to this was even if they would have beat this case, I think the potential DOJ was going to look into it. But based on what they just did with Emmett Till, I have no faith in the DOJ either.
Yeah.
But I hope that she is pursued the same way people are talking about the prosecutor that didn't pursue Jussie. Again, I'm going to keep it at 100. I'm going to keep it straight down the line. They need to pursue her too and figure out her involvement.
Because she was friends with them.
Right.
Because Michael, he was the one who was the cop and had been a cop for however many years. So they had a relationship.
Right.
She knew what happened. She sat on the case. She sat on it. She wasn't going to do anything until it made it to public and national awareness of what had happened.
But a lot of that came from the idiot driver.
Yeah.
Like, thank God you're as dumb as you are. You're dumber than Jussie. Like, thank you for posting the video.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the heck you was thinking or why you thought that was the right decision, but thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the immortal words of DJ Khaled, congratulations.
You played yourself.
You played yourself right into quite a few years. But yeah, go ahead. Okay. It feels hollow. It's one of those things like you want justice, and there's so many different people. Botham Jean was one, sitting at home eating ice cream. George Floyd was one.
Her appeal starts soon.
It does.
Yeah.
Amber Geiger, and that's the part. Like that was the case where the judge hugged her, and I think the brothers were super embracing to her. And
they always find the right Black people.
I was about to say, because I was going to interrupt you when you said it earlier. I forget we were talking about. You mentioned the case where the Black people forgave someone.
Oh, Anthony Broadwater.
Yeah. And I'm just like, stop this, Black people. That's part of the reason they keep doing us like this. And I think we're starting to see this in parts of the world, specifically in California. And that's not this podcast, but certain people is just getting sick of stuff. And they're saying, you know what? It's more of us than y'all.
Which, I mean, when you look at the census, it is.
And minority population is growing. And I know y'all, not all, because there's a lot of white people I love and appreciate. But there's a lot of white people that are concerned. And you should be. Because certain white people have been detrimental to the foundations of this world from the inception of this world. Since Adam fell in the garden and white people were introduced, white people have been doing some real messed up stuff. And as we get to a place where your numbers can no longer overwhelm others, sadly but graciously, you will not get what you've given. But to a certain extent, certain people is really getting fed up. And we're seeing it more and more. And sadly, certain people are getting caught in the crosshairs. But I'm not super upset with some of the changes we're seeing. And I don't believe we owe it to continually be the bigger person.
And I think that's where a lot of people, even if you don't say it out loud, I think that's where a lot of people stand now. Because again, it's not that all of this stuff is new. It's not that it just out of the blue started happening again. It's always been happening. And Black people, brown people, like, we've taken it because what else are we supposed to do? And it's gotten to a point now where if you are on social media, if you're watching the news, you see all these instances where you've got a Karen calling the police on someone because she doesn't like that they're in her neighborhood. You've got these people who think that their authority supersedes my basic human rights because of the difference of color of our skin. And I don't know, because you think it's going to just die off. You keep thinking all these people, like that mindset, that way of thinking, it's just going to die off eventually, because who thinks like that now? But it's trained. It's trained.
It's taught.
And
it's learned.
And you've said this to me before. Most people will advocate, they'll say the right things, they'll, push the right agenda until they see that it's directly affecting them. If I have to change the way that I live my life to make sure that everybody else can live the same as me, I don't know if I necessarily want to do that. So you get pushback. And you see it so much now that people are sick of it. And people aren't just going to keep tolerating it. I have been in many situations where I've been the bigger person. And, because that's how we're raised. Black kids, Black people, we're raised. It's not even that serious. Don't bring them down. Don't bring yourself down to that level.
When they go low, we go high.
We go high. But we're tired of going high. And some of us are really tired of going high. That's why you see these videos of Black people retaliating. You're not going to spit on me. You're not going to call me a name. You're not going to disrespect me. You're not going to do any of this stuff and think that you're just going to walk away from this situation the victim. Because if you want to be a victim, I can make you a victim. And you're not going to like it. And I've seen so many videos, like this lady at the mall. She had like a full-on fit because the black lady was in her space or whatever, and she wouldn't give her a shirt. And like, she fell out. She fell all the way out. And when the security got there, she was just like, she's stalking me through the store. And the black lady was like, she went off. Another video I watched yesterday, a black guy. He was a parking lot attendant. And a mother and son came into the parking lot and they saw him, and he's got on a lanyard, like a headlight. He's just there to make sure that people who aren't supposed to be parked there aren't parked there. And he's writing down information so that their cars can get towed. For whatever reason, they felt that he looked suspicious. And the woman's son came up and like tried to hit the guy, like attacked him. And he's just in there doing his job. They call the police. He hits I think what it was, like they went to leave and he hits the guy with his car. And when he gets out of the car, they fight. But the woman had called the police on the black man and just completely left out the fact that that he hit him with the car and that he attacked him first. But if it had not been on video, when the cops got there, he would have been arrested for attacking, these people. And like I said, like sometimes y'all catch the right people who are just going to,
too often,
take it on the other cheek. But that's not going to be the case much longer.
And I saw similar to that. There was the lady in a store, and she gets to the register, and there's a girl recording. It sounded like, I'm going to stereotype it. It sounded like a white woman was recording the video of the white woman saying that some black dude had stole her phone. And so she's at the register, and the cashier's like, okay, what's going on? And the lady's like, he stole my phone. And so at one point, they were like, we'll call it. And she was like, I don't want you to call it, because if you call it, you've already put it on silent, so it won't ring. And so they go back and forth for maybe a minute or two based on the video. And finally, the cashier person's like, all right, I'll call it. So he calls the phone, and it rings, and it's in her purse.
Bruh.
And she has this look on her face like, dang,
I've been caught.
And so then the girl and the dude like walk off, and then she comes after them and like starts trying to like apologize to them. But if you go back and watch the video, and it was actually a kind of a country looking white dude, big beard, look like Duck Dynasty guy. But I've seen him a couple of different places, kind of like speaking out against these kind of white people that are doing this. And he's like, it was at this moment, you can see in the video where she sees her phone. But she's so invested in the lie and what she's already started, she can't stop. Mm-hmm. And it's at that point that she starts saying, no, they can't call my phone. But then the cashier's like, well, I'll call it and I'll dial it. And I think it looked like she might have been fidgeting with it, trying to get it to go on silent, but it rings out loud. And that's when everything happens. And in this case, they had the right one, because they walked off, they cussed at her or whatever and left. But a bunch of people in the comments was like,
whoop her behind.
Whoop her. And we're getting, and I've kind of said this, and we haven't really talked about black on black stuff here, and I have my issues on that because I don't think it's a real thing. It's
not a real thing.
But black crime does happen to black people by black people.
Yes.
Young Dolph, Nipsey Hussle, we've seen black crime happen. But in those cases, we are trying to get ahead, or there's a competition amongst the two. We aren't just belittling and berating people just because their skin's different, because our skin's the same. And in these cases, we're seeing people, and this is also I wanted to go at, that's heartbreaking, is this younger generation has a much less value of life, their own and yours. So when you say you're meeting some of the wrong people, I like the fact that people are starting to stand up for themselves. The downside to that is they don't care about anybody.
Right. They don't care about anybody's life.
They will rob anybody. They will do it in broad daylight. They will do it in Beverly Hills. They will do it at Louis Vuitton, or they'll do it
at the local hair salon.
At the local hair salon. And so it's getting to a point where people just fed up. Presidential ratings are as low as they've ever been. I don't care what numbers y'all keep throwing at us. Unemployment is up, and it's up. Inflation is up. Like,
I know I saw an article today or maybe recently that said it was like almost at 7%, and it's the highest it's been in maybe 40 years.
Right. So if you get a 2% raise and there's 7% inflation, you losing money.
You're not getting.
You didn't really get a raise. And people are just tired of it. And I've said to you off mic, I think the worst is ahead as we go into this holiday season. As we keep running out of chicken wings and chicken tenders and all this stuff that just keep missing, and these shelves are not getting restocked. Excuse me. Desperate people do desperate things. We joked about the toilet paper. Keep going.
But that's the thing. Like, you see people in these stores fighting over resources. And I don't think it's that serious. Like, when we were worried about not being able to get toilet tissue, we went to a few stores. It was sold out. And we finally found some that we actually really liked at Staples. Like,
you can't just give up the goods. You might need that. Goodness gracious.
As of recently, I've gone to buy diapers for the boys. And several times the brand that we like, that we can only get at Walmart. That's not cool. All good. Y'all need to get in more stores. But we can only find it at Walmart. They've been out of diapers. And so it's just like, do I need to start stockpiling? Do I need to make sure that we've got what we need? But you watch the videos of these people in the stores, and someone will have a cart full of stuff, like full of multiple things, but they're standing in the aisle fighting with someone over something that they already have. And if that's the mentality that everybody is going to have right now, it does not make for a very safe world. It doesn't make for COVID going away. It doesn't make for really much of anything positive. And then you add racial tensions on top of that. Then you add on the fact that people are unemployed or people are underemployed, like,
and underpaid
and pissed off. Like,
the service sucks.
A powder keg waiting to go up in flames.
And the post office and UPS and FedEx keep stealing people's packages.
People are stealing packages.
So, like, and this is the part is we'll end it somewhat light, but this is serious. So we had phones stolen a year ago.
It was like this time of year last year.
And it was awful. Let me tell you, working with Verizon, I hate Verizon. Yeah. They're better than Comcast for cable, but Lord knows if I had a better option, I would do it. And I'm not about to have 1,000 different streaming things and all that. So we're not gonna go there. But when you order a package today, you got to worry about the UPS, the driver stealing it from you. Depending on where you live, you got to worry about someone stealing it off your porch. Like, you got to worry about stuff getting replaced. We done had a couple things come here that looked like somebody done looked in it and didn't like what they saw, so they put it back.
They put it back and changed their mind and let it go on about its way.
Nike had to stop putting tape on their packages because people was taking those. Like, it's a different world.
The world is insane.
Like, it's a different world. You better wake up. You better get smart. I've seen way too many videos of women walking in places and men trying to run in behind them. Like, it's not just one or two.
It's all the time.
It's not just one type of area. It's happening a lot of places. People, be aware, be wise, and be careful. Holidays are already potentially traumatic enough for a variety of different reasons. Like, we just got to do better as a people, but that starts at the top. And for the sake of this show, it starts with our judicial system. And y'all got to get it together. I'm glad you got the Jussie thing right. I still think you got the Kyle thing wrong. And I'm glad you got Ahmaud right, but there's way too many. Breonna
Taylor.
We're still waiting on
there's a lot.
Anything there. And there's been a bunch of more. I don't like even going into names anymore because I feel like I'd be missing people. But it's tough. I got some people out in Oakland and the Bay. It's nuts out there. The California police chief was basically saying it's like the purge.
Don't move to LA.
Don't visit LA was the guidance. Don't even visit.
Like, they cannot protect you.
They cannot protect you. Cancun, gangs and stuff been shooting up resorts.
I know.
And not just trash resorts, like nice resorts.
Nice 5-star resorts. People are sitting there eating their food, and folks just walk up off the beach and just start blasting. Like, this makes you want to stay in the house.
Which might be a good thing. Staying in the house, doing good things. And while you're in the house, you might as well watch our show. And share it with other people and like it and comment and do all those great things and bless us. Bless us. With all of our different ways. And we got enough money that the government will be watching because $500 is all it takes or whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do about taxes next year.
Well, we're going to pay them.
I mean, yeah, duh, we're going to pay the taxes.
All of them. Looking for actually, if you're an accountant and you're trustworthy, we're actually looking for that because we got a bunch of stuff dealing with that's new for us. But yeah, as this year begins to wind down, it's been a heck of a year. Great year in music. We'll probably have something bonus coming on that. We've talked about the different award shows, and a lot of people have had decent music this year, but there was better. So we'll talk about that at a later time. If this episode doesn't ring true, I don't know what will. But in life, things happen. You have the power to choose what you do. Choose wisely. And most importantly, always bet on you. And because we have a 4th kid on the way, if you have been blessed by this, go ahead and bless us. Cash App. It's actually not at the bottom right now. We got to do it for our audio people. For our audio listeners, you can Cash App us at $RateABest. PayPal is, I think we come up with a business PayPal right now. We've just been lazy. It's rbond4788@gmail.com, and Venmo is Ray-Bond. So you can play that back. I'm not going to keep repeating it because it's tacky. But thank you so much for the support. We are almost through with this year, heading into another year. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to catching up with you guys next Monday. Take care.